Hey, it's Ben. Welcome back to the podcast. And we're going to go a mile deep on something that's going to mess up your next quarter. If you behave, if you show up like this is a surefire way to make sure that you don't have the quarter that you are perhaps capable of. And this is something I've experienced both personally and seen it with clients as well. And what I want to go through is 5 things that you are going to do to mess up your quarter and what to do to recalibrate or change them. Now, this is I think a well-known problem with coaches, consultants, leaders that get in their own way. It's a failure to launch. It's a failure to take the ideas, the desire, the thing that you want to do and put it out there into the marketplace. And sometimes it can be from a place of fear. It can be a place of scarcity. It can be from a place of, well, if I'm doing this, it's going to be overwhelming. And the whole principle of what I teach in 10X and Go in 10X is that putting something out there that's new, different, better, unique is going to exponentially shift your life. But sometimes I think, and definitely think I've been through this myself, where I've sat on things for way too long instead of getting them out there into the marketplace and getting feedback on them. And I'm listening to Yuri Levine's book at the moment, in the guy who created Waze. And I love that. I've loved really listening to, because I don't often listen to leaders in the tech space. I'm not, haven't really worked with many leaders in the tech space before. It's the same problem. It's exactly the same problem. Is if someone's putting a coaching or a consulting offer out in the marketplace, where they're coaching, consulting, maybe they're doing some sort of financial management or planning with a client. It's coaching, it's mentoring, it's consultancy. It's the same in the tech space. I'm listening to this thinking it's exactly the same problems across the two. But what happens is, what so many people are trying to find is product market fit. It's what I call the perfect offer meets the perfect person at the right time. And I was actually just talking about this with my local area where I live back at home. When I had my gym 10 years ago, I really wanted to do a fitness competition. I thought it'd be a really good idea. Yeah, I did have this feeling, and it was a thought. It would, didn't even clarify it with the marketplace that if I was to do a fitness kind of competition, it would have been my idea, but it might not have had the product market fit. It might not have fitted the market for where it was at that point. And now with the upturn of high rocks and loads of people wanting to do high rocks, one of my old trainers, Rob, has literally captured the marketplace at home with his Hybrid X kind of run through of very similar to high rocks, and loads of people are investing in his product, and it's a great fit and it's great community, and it's amazing to see that happen. And I'm really excited for him and his business. I don't think that if I'd have done that 10 years ago, that would have had the same upturn. And this is the thing, that you can have a great offer, but one of the problems is you've got to make sure it meets the market where the market's at. And this is something that I think has happened so much in, especially coaching, consulting, mentoring, is that we have great ideas, but we don't clarify or coordinate them with the market by putting them out there and seeing if people are going to say yes to them. And this is something that is like, people, I think, come into coaching that they think they're going to build this coaching model or business or product or mastermind. They're going to take it out to the marketplace, and they're just going to get everyone saying yes straight away. And maybe that will happen. And I have had that happen myself. And equally, I've had many times where it hasn't happened as well. So I think this is something that's a real big problem, that we have an idea, we think we have to perfect the idea, then take it to the marketplace. And it's actually the reverse, which is true, is that we have an idea, we take it to the marketplace, we get our yeses, and then we calibrate with the people that have purchased and bought. And this is something I say to clients, is that we only really know an offer truly works when the thud of the pound signs hitting the bottom of the bank account. And then the second metric of validating your offer is repurchase. It's stickability. It's who sticks with you. And when I started Fastway to Fitness, it was like this. I went through iterations where it was a boot camp. It was a 4-1-1 model where I did 4 weeks of boot camp, 1 week of trial, and I rotated that model for about 2 years. And then I tried 12 week, then I tried 6 week, And it was the sticking ratio which showed that those programs worked. It was the same in Awakened Man. When I created the Awakened Man project, we went through iterations, and different iterations were better than others. And now in the 10X Tribe and the Mile Deep Mastermind, I've got two very new products. And what I'm going through at the moment is actually getting them to stick. And actually, really, really cool. The stick ratio straight away has been high for me, probably because I've been informed from my other businesses. So what I'm trying to share with you, it's so important to have this this testing mindset versus a trusting mindset. And actually, this is a distinction I teach lots of my clients, which is test versus trust. Get an imperfect program, offer, whatever you want to call it, take it to your marketplace, and then test it and test it and test it. And people reinvesting is a sure sign that something's working. Now, so I'm coming towards the first tranche of renewals for people who first joined the 10X Tribe when I first started it. And I'm getting people saying yes, which means something's working. And which is great because they're getting results, they're getting community, they're getting support, they're getting all the things that I promised them when they came. And now what I want to find out is what's working for them and what's not. And this is, I think, with especially so many leaders, is where you've got to delve into feedback and get the things that you don't want to hear. And this can be I remember with Fast Way to Fitness, I actually got a customer services consultant to come in and give me the hard feedback I didn't want to hear from the clients. But it helped me iterate so much faster. I'll just say one more thing before we dive into the 5 things. I always see your business like a bucket. And here's the thing is, when you start a business and you pour clients into the bucket buy customers into the bucket, you only see where the cracks in the bucket are as the water rises. And so many people have never filled their bucket. So they worry about problems which are at the top of the bucket when they haven't even filled the first quarter, third. And this is why it's so important to get something imperfect, take it to the marketplace, service people, and get them giving you feedback of what's great, what's not so great. And this, I think, is what so many people struggle with. They really think that they have to perfect before they go out to do that. They have to fill all the cracks in the bucket, and it's never the case. And I've seen so many business owners crippled by this level of perfection, and it's so crippling. And if you're listening to this, I really don't want you to suffer from this. So one of the things that you will get from me, say we were to work together, I help you create very, very imperfect action and calibrate really, really quickly. This is what my master skill is I'm very good at this. And what you do is you build a relationship with your customers that's so much better when you do this as well, because they believe they're involved in the process as well. Obviously, you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to have a great model. You've got to have a great system or a great offer. What actually happens is that the customer feedback helps you refine what's helpful and what's not helpful. And it's normally what you're getting rid of. Like, you can be doing a load of stuff that you just don't need to be doing. So that's the first thing. So the way I want you to see this is what's going to mess up your next quarter is that if you're not on the field taking shots, you're on the sideline, you're thinking about it, you sat there, you're really getting ready to get ready, you're theorizing, you're philosophizing about what it's going to feel like, but you've not taken the step and got on the field. Whether that's changing your strategy, whether that's hiring a different person, you getting ready to get ready. There's a metaphor for this. It's like there are 3 frogs sitting on a log on the water. 2 decide to jump in. Yeah, so 2 decide to jump in. How many on the log? And most people would say 1, but it's 3, because although they decided to jump in, they didn't actually jump in. And sometimes we can make a decision, but we don't take the action. And that's why we're not on the field. I've decided I want to become a coach. I've decided I want to launch this program. I decided I want to go for the next echelon in the business. Yeah, I haven't taken the action. You can have made the decision, but the failure to launch is taking the action. And let's dive into this. So what it looks like, the first and foremost, is not having an offer. This is such an amateur thing to think that you can go to the marketplace without a clear offer. It's so messy. You don't know what you're doing. The customer doesn't understand how you work and how you can help them. You can just be a coach or be a PT. Hey, I'm a personal trainer. I do the training and I help you. It's so ambiguous. It's inefficient. You're going to lose money and you're going to lose, you're going to promote lack of clarity. An offer encapsulates everything about what you do, how you do it, and how you can help someone solve their problem. And there's 3 P's to an offer. There's the problem, yeah? There's the process and the prescription. And what we want to do is we want to go, first of all, we get really clear on the promise. So that what's the promise I'm going to make you? I'm going to make you some sort of promise. Like, I'm going to help you lose your first stone in the next 6 weeks. The promise is the result and the time frame. The second thing is the process. How are you going to do it? I'm going to help you with your food for focus and your fitness. That's how we used to do it at Fast Way to Fitness. I'm going to help you make one change to your food. I'm going to help you train 3 times a week for 45 minutes. I'm going to help you stay on track. And then the price. So not having an offer where you've got your promise, your process, and your price very clearly defined, it makes it 10 times easier when you go to market. The second thing is you might have an offer, but you're not making offers. You've got this document, you might be showing it up on, you have a document, you might have it on a web page, you might have it on written down, wherever it is. You've got this offer, but you're not taking it to people and saying, hey, this is how I'm doing business right now. Have you got this problem? Do you want me to solve it with you? And I think this is what I've seen an upturn, especially since social media's arrived, is that I started my business just as Facebook started. So I was still having to go out there and saying, hey, I'm a personal trainer. This is what I do. This is how I help people. I would go to workshops. I'd create seminars. I would take my offer to the marketplace. Like, I'd get people to come in. And what a lot of people do now is what I would almost say like lazy marketing, lazy sales. They think that just posting on social media, making reels, is people going to flood to them. It doesn't work like that. And this is something I've noticed even when I've been working with some of the best coaches I know in the business and the best consultants. They have both. They have a strategy which takes their offer to the marketplace, but they're also very good with follow-up and invitation. You know, something that Hannah said to me, actually, it's an excited invitation. And having received some of them in the past was where someone has got in touch with me saying, hey, by the way, I've got this thing. And I was thinking about the problem that you shared with me a while ago. If this is something you're still struggling with, would you like help on it? And I've got this thing. Would you like to talk about it for 5-10 minutes? And it's an excited invitation to marry their problem with your solution. And it's an excited energy because you can often, this is the case, you can help these people. So that's the second problem. Failure to launch looks like not making offers, not taking it out to the marketplace, engaging people in conversation, saying, hey, have you got this problem? I've got this solution. Should we have a conversation? It's such a simple thing, but we overcomplicate it. And I say we because I've done it in the past as well. The third thing is not using the feedback from the yeses or the nos. And this is the problem, I think, that so many people who have rejection fear have, what they think that going with it, like they've done all the work, they've maybe created an offer or a way to go to market, they've taken it to the marketplace. And then this is where the best pieces of information are going to come from, where people are going to say yes or no to your offer. Like, Ben, yes, I'm going to do this. This is what I want to do. It's a perfect fit for me right now. Or a no. And we're quite afraid to go for the no. There's actually one of the best sales books you can read, which is called Go for No. And it's actually, we want to go for the no and we want to understand why someone is saying no. Is it that it doesn't feel like it really solves their problem? Is it that it's not a fit for them the way that it's made up? Because I remember in Awaken Man, one of the big sort of selling points is it was a daily conversation. There was a daily conversation. You came to daily, and a lot of leaders, especially, we were working with men, a lot of men would say, that's just not the right fit for me. I cannot and do not want to allocate 5 hours a week to being on a conversation. And that was fine. It was no judgment of them. It just wasn't, our product was that. Their desire was this, and it just didn't marry up. So it's about getting those yeses and nos and using that feedback to recalibrate and inform your offer. Like listening to Yuri Levine this morning, and he was talking about Waze. And when Waze, the app first started, it was about getting people to come in and give them feedback. That was the most important thing that they could have got in that early phase of their development. And this is the part that so many people are afraid of. They're worried about launching their product. They're worried about putting it out there, because when it's out there, people might say yes, they might say no. And if they do say yes, you've got to deliver this imperfect product. And what happens if you let them down? And I get this, but here's the thing I've noticed is that, especially in the startup phase of especially a consultancy, coaching, mentoring, mastermind type offer, is that you naturally, I think sometimes you even over deliver. I think that sometimes you get the best of a program when it's in its infancy, because there's normally more intimacy. Because even with my programs at the moment, there's more of me in these programs, because I'm trying to calibrate what's the most effective thing for people. Where are people stuck? So they're in my program. I want to know where you're stuck. How are you getting in your own way? What can I create to help you move forwards? And when you're in the early phase of, especially like I know coaching and mentoring so well, I get so much more information from my clients one-to-one and in those small settings than I would do on maybe a feedback form. So I think that in the early phases of a coaching program, you're probably going to up the intimacy dial anyway. And people love that. It's going to be more effective. And this is kind of, this is what's really important. We want to use that feedback from the yeses or nos. Why are people saying yes or no to your product? Because we can use that to make a better offer. The next one is not having a clear campaign start or end date. And it's this nebulous date. There's one day, someday in the future, when my time is right, when I've got enough time, when life's going to fit. It hasn't, how long has that been going on for? And I've spoken to numerous people who have waited for the right time instead of starting in the time to be right. And this is probably the most destructive mindset I think that you can have. It's getting in your way 101. Within 2 weeks of me leaving my previous company, I already had the offer out there and I was making offers with a start date. The start date was the end of, I think it was the end of May, end of May. Although what I did is people that joined before that, I just said, hey, listen, we've got an incubator. There's a couple of calls where we'll get together beforehand, and you can start officially in May. And what it meant is that they were already started paying, invested, and it was extra value for them. And sometimes people need that little bit of a fuse before they start the program. They need that little bit of an incubator to get the things in place, whether that's writing their goals down, getting clear, putting things in the calendar. They might already have calendar entries up to that point where your program starts. So that's a super valuable phase of your program where you have that incubator. And here's the other thing is that having a launch date, there's this natural thing called Parkinson's law. Is like work grows to fit the time. So if you've got a no date, work grows to fit the time. You'll just end up with way more work to do. And you've got this thing called Horstman's Colliery, which is a horrible word, but it's the opposite, is work shrinks to fit the time you give it. So if you say that you're going to be starting in 2 weeks, you will find people in 2 weeks. And that's my experience with clients, with myself, with all these sorts of people. And then the final thing that will mess up your next quarter is doing the thing that feels like the thing, but it's not the thing. So what this really means is posting reels feels like the thing, not the thing. Going out and making a pretty website feels like the thing, not the thing. It could be getting your messaging right. Feels like the thing, not the thing. Could be going to a networking event. Feels like the thing, not the thing. Is that when you have a very, very clear offer, you know exactly what problem you're going to solve. The next place I would go to, and we're going to talk about this in the next part of this training, is that it's about building a hot list. Like, who do I know? Or who do I know who knows this people with this person with this problem? And generally, I've found most coaches, most mentors, most people with programs, or even most people with a problem will know group of people, 20, 30, 50 people, where they can take this to. And this is the thing is taking your promise to someone's problem and saying, can I solve it? It's called straight line thinking. Instead of doing the things around the thing, we go straight to the heart of the issue. And this is where we're going to look at, like, how do you replace these things that are stopping you from launching? So stay with me for the next 5 minutes, because I think these are the really important parts of this training, podcast, video, whichever you're listening to. So you replace it with a clear offer written in Google and a Google document. I think a Google Doc is super cheap, easy, free, simple to access, edit. It's a wireframe. You might have heard it called wireframing before. You write out your offer end to end, explaining everything from how it's focused, what you're doing, how you're solving the problem, the process they're going to go through. You put FAQs in there. It could be that you've got protection in there, which means that you've got your risk reversal, all that stuff. It's all in a Google Doc. So that when somebody gets in touch, you say, hey, like, listen, take a read of that, read all the way through it. And then if it's what you think that is going to help you, just take the action at the end of the document. And it's got, maybe email me with a yes or a no. And what I've seen work time and time again with this is it's fast, effective, simple. And I remember, I worked with Travis Sago. Travis was an incredible marketer, and he had this thing called the ugliest sales page ever. And it was a little bit about email mojo. It was about 100 testimonials, which are just copied with literally screenshots of Facebook statuses. And then it had a buy now button at the bottom. And he gave the figures on how much that made him. It was absolutely astronomical. And it just blew my mind about how much some people will do all of the other things rather than just make that really clear sales page and push it out to as many people as possible. So a clear offer written in a Google Doc, very fast, very effective, very cheap. And if you do absolutely have to make it beautiful, because Poppy, my partner, she just doesn't like that. She's like, it needs to look good. So even if you've done that, you can give it to a designer. It's going to be way, way quicker and way more effective. The second thing is taking it to a hot list of people. So this could be a list of people that you've got in your phone. I always start with my phone. It can be an email list. It can be somebody else's email list that you partner with. It can be a community. You're just looking for a group of people who've got the problem which you're incredible at solving, taking it to them and then seeing if you can get them to say yes or no to that offer, because that's going to quickly give you some feedback. Then you recalibrate with the feedback. If you're getting lots of yeses, that's a good thing, but we also want to understand why they're saying yes, what's working, what's really applicable, what's really valuable about the thing that you're offering. The second thing, if you're getting lots of no's, you've also got to get very curious, because this is something that sometimes you've got an idea, you think it's going to be great, but the market just doesn't receive it in that way. It's not something that they're like, oh yeah, I don't really need that. And also there's a lot of ambiguity in the way that you in your offer. Like you're talking about very nebulous concepts like get better, enhance your vision, do the thing that you want to do. Or like it's very lose weight, get rich. And these nebulous terms you see in a lot of people's offers, they don't convert very well. That's why working with someone like Poppy's very good at removing all of what she calls the fluff, all the stuff that's just not accurate and concrete. I am going to help you 10x your X in the next 90 days. So for example, say you've got a goal of, say, more income. So we're going to look at like, what is your profitability from the last year? And how can we 10x that? That's a clear offer. Yeah, that's like what I do on the 10x tribe. It's like, let's work out what you're 10x in and then get very clear on it and work out exactly what you need to do to make that happen. And then this is what happens next, is that you want to replace the not having a start date with having campaigns. Is like you have a macro campaign of 12 weeks. So I'm currently launching the Mile Deep Mastermind, which is starting in November. It's launching. People are signing up. Got 4 people signed up for that. And So there's 6 spaces left on the first tranche, which is great. So like that's selling, but I'm doing it in 1 week sprints. So on a Sunday or Monday, I'm sitting down and I'm like, well, what is the campaign that I'm writing for this week? What's the one thing that I'm talking about all the way through this week? And what that does is it allows you 12 different ways to talk about your program. So because there's like if there's 12 different ways to talk about your program, all the 12 different things that your program solves, all the 12 ideas about your program. And what this allows you to do is by the time you get to the 12th week when the program starts, you've picked up clients along the way and you've got an official start date. And this really does transform your business. You become a campaign-driven business. And this is what I think that transformed my fitness business. It was really helpful in Awaken Man is that we had campaigns. We would look at 12 weeks. And then what we would do at the end of the 12 weeks, we would review that campaign, what went well, what needs to be done better in the next phase. And we got so many lessons. I learned so much from this. And it can even come down to that you just need to roll out exactly the same process again. It works so well. That was, often the case in my fitness business. A campaign went so well. Like, we just need to do the same thing again in the next quarter because I think it will work again because the campaign was so strong. And then the final one is replace it with getting clear on the crux. So one of the thing that was going to mess up your quarter was doing the thing that feels like the thing. But what we've got to get clear on, and this is something I can help you with if you're struggling with this, is that the crux is the one problem that if you solve it, it's almost guaranteed that you will not fail. You cannot fail if you get this one thing right in the quarter. So I looked at my crux for Q4 of 2024, and I looked at everything that was going. I was like, okay, well, my delivery is good. People are staying. People are getting results. They can get better results. We can always get better results, but the results are good. The community's getting stronger. The communication's improving. The deliverability of the communications that I've got a podcast channel, I've got an email list, I've got WhatsApp contacts. So like everything's improving. One of the things that if I solve it, that I've got an abundance of people coming in is sales and marketing. So it's like lead flow, sales and marketing. So I'm getting very clear on what is the thing that I need to solve in those 3 areas. It's definitely lead flow. So it's like, how can I get some much, much better lead flow? So more people are listening to the podcast, more people are on the YouTube channel. And after even just committing to that, my YouTube channel went from 12 subscribers 2 weeks ago to now it's over 250 in 2 weeks. And that's just by tweaking a few things, knowing that that's the goal and getting more people to see the stuff that I'm sharing. So this is what I've done with my business, and this is what I do with yours as well. Is like, what's the crux? It could be getting your offer out there. Like actually writing your offer out could be the crux. Getting it out in front of people, getting some yes and no could be the crux. Having some sales calls, like actually having 10, 15, 20, 30 sales calls to clarify how you get on with sales. Is sales something you struggle with? Mastering sales, learning so much about sales in 12 weeks, is that going to exponentially shift your business? It absolutely will. And so what you've got then is every year you've got 4 things that you're hugely moving the needle on. It could be sales and marketing, it could be deliverability, it could be communication, it could be virality, it could be, there's so many things that there is a possibility that getting these things right for your business will massively shift the way that you are currently getting your results. So getting clear on the crux. And this means that all your attention, 80% of your attention is going on this 20% thing. It means also that you get rid of 80% of the things that you're doing that are not going to solve the problem. We're going 20 all in. So in the next 12 weeks, all my attention is going on how do I get more people seeing my content, more people coming into my world and converting into someone who's interested and having conversations with those people to see if I can serve them. So if you listen to this podcast, by the way, if you've enjoyed the stuff I've covered about 10X or you're interested in the Mile Deep, just head on over to the links in the bio on this podcast and have a conversation with me, because I'm interested to see if the stuff that I'm creating and giving to my customers will help you solve your problems. And so this is what it's about doing. It's getting clear on the crux and then going all in on that thing. Too many people try and solve too many problems in the quarter, and that messes up their quarter. You want to solve one thing and solve it really well. So that's been my failure to launch podcast training, or however you've consumed this. Thank you so much for listening. There's one of two things you can do after listening to this. Head on over and give me a like, a review, like subscribe to the channel if you found it helpful, because honestly, if you are finding this helpful, I want to be able to give you more stuff that's going to help you. I think that the more stuff I give you to help you solve your problems, the wealthier, the easier I make your life, the better our relationship's going to be. So that's my kind of where I'm coming from. If you found it helpful and you want some help implementing what I've talked about on the podcast, shoot on over to the comments in the video or the podcast, and there's a link where you can direct message me straight away. And you can actually fill out a scorecard, which will help you work out which of the things that you might need to solve in the next quarter. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and I'll see you on the next training. Take care.